Welcome to the Brains Are Us podcast, brought to you by Centerpoint Research Institute. Each week, we explore the tools, insights, and breakthroughs that help you unlock your full potential. Whether it's mind-expanding research, powerful personal development strategies, or transformative stories, you're in the right place to upgrade your brain and your life. Today's interview features acclaimed energy medicine healer and transformational change agent, Jennifer McLean. Listen as MaryEllen and Jennifer explore the mechanics of trauma, the importance of healing trauma stored in the body, and the revolutionary potential of energy medicine in transforming lives. This is one episode you won't want to miss. Now here's your host, Centerpoint CEO, MaryEllen Tribby.
Welcome to Brains Are Us. I'm your host, MaryEllen Tribby. Today, we're going to focus on transforming trauma into personal power. In this episode, we will explore how unresolved trauma can be transformed into a catalyst for personal growth and empowerment. And there is no better person to walk us through this than our special guest, Jennifer McLean. She is an advanced, internationally acclaimed energy medicine healer and transformational change agent, reaching millions of souls since 2008. She is the creator of the global phenomenon and healing accelerant, the spontaneous transformation technique, which we will refer to as STT going forward. She delivers instant transformation, healing the unconscious and resolved trauma from the body. With almost 1,000 STT practitioners in this unique system, it is quickly becoming a go-to for creating real change in extreme times. She came into this industry hosting the original and most renowned online summit, Healing with the Masters, reaching over 1 million souls over her 17 seasons. Now she focuses her full-time attention on delivering her healing and psychic gifts. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking this time to be with us today.
It is an absolute delight, MaryEllen, to be here with you. I'm honored. And, you and I are the wise ones, aren't we? We've been here for just a little while.
We have been around the block.
Many times.
And that's what I want our listeners to know today is that, people always read introductions, but I want to say the very first time I met you, I could feel your gifts, right? Just because we had known each other, right? We had mutual friends. And I think was it Glenn's mastermind? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
which mastermind,
probably.
But we just saw each other and came up to each other and hugged each other like we had known each other forever. Yep. So I am so honored that you could be here. And I want to dig right in with my question to you, because so many people suffer from trauma for so many reasons. So I want to know, how did your personal experiences with trauma inspire the creation of STD?
I had a very rough childhood. Alcoholism, narcissism, sexual abuse, and it wasn't one-offs. It was intense. It was a lot, and it was constant. So I came out of that experience with really no templates for love, for even morality. My life by the time I was a teenager was just a big question mark of like, what is this thing called life? And not a lot of hope. And so, fortunately, I was also extremely psychic, intuitive. I could see dead people. So, I knew there was something more and that there was something more for me. Mm-hmm. And I had the strangest, I think, guided gift that came to me, which was praying every night, almost begging every night, please help me to know myself. Because I had no idea who I was by the time I left at 17. And so I prayed every night, please help me to know myself. Please help me to know myself. And in hindsight, it was the most remarkable prayer. It wasn't a prayer to get something. It wasn't a prayer to escape something. It wasn't even a prayer to get rid of something. It was a prayer to know, who am I? And from that prayer, as we know, basics of law of attraction, when you're the vibration that you are seeking, you create things. That prayer created, I believe, openings. And it led me into energy medicine. And I started young. I was usually the youngest person in the classroom. I trained for 5 years in my late 20s and early 30s, and became a healer. My specialty was cranial sacral therapy. And when I started practices here and there, and I just didn't feel like I had what that knowing of myself enough to be a good practitioner. So I kind of dabbled in it here and there and did it here and there. And then I continued my studies, and I started to move into more advanced programs of healing. And what I discovered in those more advanced systems of healing is that I was watching people do primal screaming and writhe around on tables. And what I watched for myself too was that people were being re-traumatized. That the systems of healing, the practitioners were beautiful, amazing souls. And, that time was a time of great experimentation with energy medicine. And what I saw really clearly is that these systems were re-traumatizing people. And especially people who had a lot of trauma like me. And most people who go into these healing systems have a lot of trauma. Yeah. So highly sensitive, neurodivergent souls, empaths, light workers, they usually have really big goodness lives. Which means they had huge lives of lots of trauma in childhood. And there's another story that goes with that. There's an explanation that goes with that. However, so I saw a lot of re-traumatizing, and I decided at that time, I also had a weird incident where I was the youngest person in the class, and the leader, who was extremely renowned, basically came on to me, and I was still in that trauma response, and it was really awful. And so I left that whole thing, and I decided at that moment, somewhat unconsciously, but somewhat consciously, that I was not going to do the healing until I figured out a way to do it without re-traumatizing. And then when I was fast forward 34 years old, I had cancer. And that's when the spontaneous transformation technique really came in, STT. And it came in to assist me in moving through that. I was able to resolve it, never had it again. It's never come back again. And I kind of owe it. That was the early times of STT. Mm-hmm. And that was the times when I was like, I'm not going to do this if it's going to re-traumatize me. So help me out. So I believe that this is a guided system. I believe I brought this through. Mm-hmm. I can't take full credit for it. And I believe it came to me in part through that intention of knowing myself and doing something that really heals genuine trauma without re-traumatizing, because then it becomes permanent. Yeah. And so over the years, the spontaneous transformation technique got more sophisticated. I had a better understanding of all the pieces of it to where it is today. And today it's pretty miraculous. It doesn't take very long. It's super safe, uber gentle, and genuinely heals the original core moment of trauma, which most trauma we're set up happens from 0 to 7/9 years old. Yeah. And we are living the trauma from that to this day. And so it's really important for these times in particular we're in to go to the core and unwind that unresolved trauma without re-traumatizing. And it's fast, it's efficient, it's safe, it's gentle, and it's quite powerful. I'm very, very proud of it that I got to be the clear channel to bring it through.
You should be, because it's also, there's a lot of shame that people associate on themselves. And I know for me, I wasn't even able to talk about anything that happened to me in my childhood until I was way into my 30s. Yeah. Right? Like I was so ashamed, and I was so, I put that front on. I ran businesses and I was tough, and you're so it takes so much courage to come out and talk about it. Yeah. And then be able to do something about it. That to me is the amazing part too. Yes. Is that it's not easy to talk about it.
No.
And so Let's
Yeah,
go.
and what's interesting, MaryEllen, is that with spontaneous transformation technique, there's lots of people that actually don't remember the trauma. They don't even remember. They just know that, from 7 backwards is just kind of blank.
Yeah.
So what's really cool about this system, again, because we're not interested in the memories at all. We're only interested in unwinding the core moment of the emotional body. Because of that, we most people, you do not have to remember the trauma that you had at all. You just have to know that the moment, you said it in the intro, the moment that you are in right now is revealing what's ready to be healed in the moment of upset, the moment of reaction. And I don't know if you've noticed, MaryEllen, but there's a lot to react to these days.
Right? Of course. For what? At least the last 5 years, right?
Exactly. So there's huge opportunity to use those instead of spiraling down and getting confused. We get to be curious. So move from confusion to curiosity and go, wait a minute, there's some pattern here that I've been doing over and over again. There's a default emotional response that I have when this thing happens. And that's the moment where STT can come in as a point of access now to actually heal up that reaction. And I'm telling you, the reaction gets healed. I have watched people about to tell me the story about they're about to react to a situation that they've reacted to over and over and over again. And they're about to, and they're like, hey, what? And then they're just right there about to and go, I don't actually feel that anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the opportunity with the times we live in, is to use them as a point of access. They're pointing us in a direction.
That's clearly one of the things that makes this different from other kind of healing modalities. Is there anything else that you want to point out about that? That's, that why this is so unique.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the soul itself and the journey that all of us are on. Yeah. So why would I believe, and again, anyone who's listening, if you don't believe what I'm saying, don't believe it. I'm a big fan of believe what makes you feel good. If it doesn't make you feel good, it's not going to help you. So believe what makes you feel good. So the theory I'm about to share with you has come through my guidance in the channel, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel really powerful. So if it's upsetting to you at all, then don't believe it. I'm not a guru. And I'm pretty sure that by the time I get to the other side, there's a bunch of stuff that I've shared in theory that might not even be true, but it will help us through, right? These beliefs help us through when they're empowering. I believe that I came to this planet with a mission. I believe that I came here for 2 reasons. The first reason is to evolve my soul, to move through some wild and crazy experiments, much of which happened from 0 to 9 years old to me, that allow me to evolve by resolving. So resolve to evolve, right? That's the idea here. That's the intention of my soul, is to come down here, move through these challenging experiences, and raise my vibration. The second reason I'm here is because, and I suspect a lot of people watching this are too, I am a light worker. I'm here on a mission to make a difference. I'm here on a mission to change lives. And the way that I chose to change lives was to have the experiences that I had that helped me to raise my vibration when I moved through them and heal them, to also become a person that can bring through the information that we need at this time to move the needle on all of humanity. So everyone watching your show, you guys are, I believe you're white light workers. I believe that your vibration alone can make the difference. And so I came here with a mission. So what is the best way for me to resolve, to find resolution, to evolve my soul and raise my vibration? Well, childhood, the parents I chose, the genetic line I chose with all the ancestral DNA and all the ancestral cellular memory, my birth date, the astrology, my name, the numerology, the numerology of my birth date. What else would I be coming through with? Well, karma, my past lives. The things that I don't believe karma is punitive. I believe karma is there's some stuff that I didn't quite get to resolve with a couple of different people in those other lifetimes that I've decided as a soul, I would like to resolve this lifetime. I worked with them before I came here and they said, okay, let's do it. And we came here and they were going to be either an antagonist or a partner, a collaborator. And so I believe that childhood is the best and most important, most powerful setup for me to raise my vibration, because every pattern I'm here to play with, to resolve, to evolve from, happened in childhood, happened with all of those traumas. And so for those of us who are light workers that are really going for it, like you and me and some of your other guests, well, we've had big, beautiful experiments in childhood.
Yeah.
A huge contraction that we get to use to heal, to resolve, to evolve our very soul. And in turn, what we've learned from that resolution, from that evolution, we are now teaching. That's not the path for everyone, but those who are watching, you also have a resolution to evolutionary pathway adventure.
Right.
And again, when I look at it that way, it makes me feel empowered. It doesn't make me feel like a victim anymore.
Right.
It doesn't make me feel like, well, why me? It's not fair. It's fair because I chose it as a soul. And honest to God, at this moment in my life, I wouldn't change a thing.
Right.
I really like who I am right now. I really like the evolutionary arc I've created in this lifetime. I'm really happy with this. And so I trust my soul and I trust every soul. I trust your soul. I trust every soul that's here, that you are on the most magnificent, incredible adventure of your soul, and you've got this. Yes.
This episode of Brains R Us is brought to you by Total Trauma Relief, a suite of HoloSync meditation soundtracks and personalized coaching designed to help you release repressed trauma, soothe the brain's red alert mode, and promote emotional healing. Visit myholosync.com/brains27 to learn more.
And we, at Centerpoint, we like to talk a lot about our internal map of reality, which is very similar to what you're saying. And I know for me that I believe my children chose me, and they chose me because they're not going through what I went through, and they, without a doubt, are making the world a better place. I see already, and so there's so many ways for people to take what you're saying and apply it, which is so, so fantastic. But let's go back to that trauma that so many people are holding in, right? Yeah. They're holding it and they're not doing anything with it. So why is it so important to address the trauma stored in the body and not just the mind, but in the body?
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's how we survived. How we survived is, we did a couple of things. Okay. So the traumatic event happened. And it's, by the way, none of this is destiny. There's all kinds of variations of how things are going to happen, but the energy and intention creates, right? That's how it all works. We become the energy that we're creating. So when we're the energy of love, we create more love. When we're in the energy of fear, we create more fear. When we're in the energy of victim, we create more victim. So we brought in this intention and it was in our field. So we created these beautiful, important situations. And so in that moment of trauma, we did something really important. It was a powerful strategy. We repressed our emotions so that we could survive. So, if anyone can remember any of the trauma, if you would think about, if I had actually expressed what I was actually feeling, I might not have survived it, right? Because it was certainly unsafe and possibly dangerous. And so we did something brilliant. We repressed our emotions. Now, we've also got a brain that's from 0 to 9 years old, that's still in development, and that some of this stuff is quite confusing. And we forgot that we are incredibly powerful beings of love and light and power. We forgot. And so in those moments, we came to some false conclusions and we created some false beliefs. This is the mechanics of it. So in the moment of trauma, we repressed our emotions. And what my guide showed me is that they kind of look like walnuts. The emotion gets kind of condensed down. There's a hard coating around it so that we never go there again. And we can survive that moment because we are not expressing the emotions. So what happens is we get a little buildup of these walnuts. I had mountains of them. And so we have these buildup, and we also create false conclusions about who we are in that moment. We decide that I'm not enough. I have to be still in order to survive, or I have to move really quickly to survive, or I'm not smart enough, or false conclusions are formed at that time. And so we repress the emotions, and we have these wild and crazy false beliefs and false conclusions about who we are. And then we have these patterns. We create these patterns to ensure that we never get near those emotions or repressed emotions again. And the false conclusions and false beliefs support the pattern. So now we have these warped patterns, dysfunctional patterns, to make sure that we don't ever go there again. And then we have repressed emotions, false conclusions, and false beliefs. And that's what's happening in the moment of a reaction. And so what we want to do is, because we have this buildup, we want to heal that. And that's what so many energy medicine systems have tried to do, is to actually allow the unexpressed emotions to finally get experienced. However, what my guys showed me is that they showed me this in nature, that when water is rushing towards a boulder, it creates a little whirlpool in the front, and then it creates an anti-whirlpool in the back. In the back, that anti-whirlpool around the other side where the water goes is a still point. People can actually surf there. You can watch people get on a kayak, and so I used to do whitewater kayaking. You can surf there because it's just permanent. And so what they showed me was that you can go in there. So the trauma is the water rushing and slamming into it and creating that spiral in the front. But what they showed me is you can go around to the back, and you can actually unwind the trauma with the mirror image instead of going into the trauma. So that's what we're doing. Instead of going into the trauma, and we don't go into the memory at all. So one of the things that I say during an STT session is that memory is long over. And so the mind needs to participate, by the way. So when the mind is not participating, when you are receiving a healing, again, receiving healing is great. I do it. But sometimes if you really want permanent transformation, that will give you relief and can actually create some permanent. But spontaneous transformation technique creates permanent transformation because we are going to that core moment, the moment of transformation and unwinding.
Can you walk us through that
Yeah.
here and just really show us how that would work in practice?
Sure. I'll walk you through the steps, and I don't know how much time we have, but
don't worry about that.
Okay, I could give you a session if you want. Okay, so let me just walk you through the steps quickly. So we start with the moment of upset, because the moment of upset is revealing. It's a revelation. It's showing you what's ready to be healed next. So let's say someone said something to you, and you are in this reaction, likely an overreaction. And it's like the person might not have even intended, anything, but nonetheless, there you are in reaction. So it's triggered something. In that moment, we start with, what am I feeling? And this is sometimes the hardest part for people, because they will tell you a story instead of telling you what they're feeling. They did this and they did that. No, that's not a feeling. They abandoned me. No, that's not a feeling. A feeling is shame. You brought it up. Envy, anger, frustration, sadness. These are emotions. And so we want to identify, without telling a story or diving in, what's the emotion. So my default is anger usually. So my emotion is I'm angry. I feel angry right now. It's okay, good. So we don't have to dive into it. We just notice it. Notice that anger is there. Okay. And then the next step is, where is that anger in your physical body? This is the emotional body we're moving into now. So then we identify a single place, just one place where it is. And sometimes it's in the gut, it's in the heart, it's in the finger, it's in the brain, it's in the toe, it's in the knee, wherever it is, it's perfect. One place. And so we're about to go into there, but first we're going to move into the observer. And this is the key part of making sure that we are in the the mirror image, okay, by being the observer. So we play a little what if game. And what if game is, it detours around the mind's obstacle, because the mind doesn't want to heal, by the way. The mind doesn't want to heal because healing is the unknown, and the mind doesn't like the unknown. So we want to detour around the mind's obstacles. So we play what if? What if I could be the detached neutral observer? Mm-hmm. That's what we play. What if I could actually do that? What would that be like if I could? And so when we put it like that, the mind gets a little confused. It goes, oh, well, this is a little game. I think I could do that. And so we move into the observer, detached, neutral observer. We get really strong boundaries. We see them. We clearly see them. We have space around us. We feel that kind of divine neutral energy. We feel that still point of the observer. We feel the 0 point energy of the observer. And when we're really in the observer, that can take the most of the session. That could be almost 5 minutes. Just playing what if to be the observer. Because for many people, the first time they do this, they have never felt safe as in detached neutral energy. Right? I know, it's really a big deal.
Yes,
it's really a big deal. So when you move into the observer, then you move as the observer self with strong boundaries into that body part. And as soon as you move into that body part, you notice that upset. So in my case, it was anger. There is anger here. And yet I'm the observer, so I'm not absorbing it or impacted by it at all. Right? So we're observing the anger and we're in it, but we're not experiencing it. Mm-hmm. And then we follow where the anger is coming from. And as we approach that area, there's a younger version of us. Mm-hmm. It's that, and it's somewhere between 0 and 7 years old. There they are at the moment of trauma. And they notice that we're a different kind of an adult. They notice it because we're the observer. For the first time, they're in the presence of an adult that isn't taking over their energy. Mm-hmm. That's the gift we give them as being the observer. And then we say to them, I'm here and I'm present and I'm not leaving you. I'm here and I'm present. I'm here to support you. I'm here to love you. I'm here to honor you. I'm staying right here with you. And so the little one says, there's an adult that's here to support me.
Yeah.
And then we say to the little one, at the age you're at, some things happened. And if a memory shows up, it doesn't matter. It's long over. It is long over. It happened decades ago. Okay. So we just watch it float away like a cloud. And you did something brilliant, little one, we say to them. You repressed your emotions so that we could survive. Thank you, we say to the little one. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saving us by repressing the emotions. And then we say to them, you've called forward this moment. You've brought us here to actually feel and express your emotions. You brought us here to feel and express those emotions, and then they can start feeling it. And then what we do is we say, of course you'd feel that way. That's appropriate. That's correct. That's right. That's as it should be. We validate their feelings. So mine in that case is likely having a full-on temper tantrum. And I'm just saying, well, of course you'd feel that way. Of course you'd stomp your feet. Of course you'd scream. That's appropriate. That's right, isn't it? That's correct. That's as it should be. So they're feeling and we are observing. We are not feeling it. We're still behind our beautiful boundaries of observing, and they're expressing the emotion. Finally, they're finally giving voice to that which they couldn't have given voice to. Yeah. And then what happens is that when we explain to them that when they repress their emotions, that part can last a few minutes too, for them to fully express. And we validate and validate and validate. And then something happens, which is there's kind of a completion to the expression. And we share with them that when they repress their emotions, they also repressed parts of their love and light and power. That's what happens. When we repress our love and light and power. And that love, light, and power, it's activated now. It's ignited, it's available, and it starts to fill them. And it starts to reintegrate to them. And then their posture changes, and then they have clarity, then they have space, and then they have strong boundaries. Because they have this love, light, and power that's now part of them, and they have authentic neutral emotions. They have quiet thoughts. They have strong bodies, and then they get to see past these strong boundaries they've created from love, light, and power. That the adults in their life, well, they're just over there. They get to realize that they are separate from their adults. They're separate. They're me. I'm me. And they get to see that the adults in their life, all the stuff that they're doing has nothing to do with the little one. The little one gets to see it so clearly. They're over there in their stuff. Most of that stuff has nothing to do with me. They get to see clearly that their vibration has changed.
You must have seen so many profound transformations. I mean, you must have seen so many. Are there just one or two that really stand out to you that you can share?
Yeah, there's a recent one. I have a program which is 42 days of spontaneous transformation technique. I also have another program, this 21 days of health reset, where we do what ifs and STTs as well as other things. And I watched this one woman reach out after a session to say, I can hear out of my deaf ear that I haven't been able to hear out of since I was a teenager. And she was in her 70s. Yeah. And that same woman had a terrible infection in her finger more than a decade ago and had several surgeries on it. And the pain still kept her up at night, and the pain completely went away.
That is.
And yeah, and it's because, well, what's happening there? What's happening there is that we are finally addressing the little ones who have been repressing this whole time. False conclusions and false beliefs about life that are, filtered, that our vision and our being is filtered through. And we're looking through the world from these traumas. And when we resolve the traumas, like just for the physical health alone.
Yes.
Imagine the energy we're spending repressing. All the energy that we spend repressing and avoiding and not going near it. When that is freed up, suddenly the immune system has energy.
Right. This is so incredible. Jennifer, we have so many people in our community who have suffered trauma. We have so many. So for people dealing with this ongoing trauma, what is the first step they can take to start this healing process?
Well, I do have a free STT session, and a little bit more theory that I share as well. It's kind of I think it's a longer session. Anyway, I think it's about 90 minutes, but it's a workshop that takes what we're talking about, and I add some additional theory behind it. And I also do an STT session. So if anyone's interested in that, can I give a URL? Is that okay?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Right, so let me get my glasses here.
Yeah.
If you go to www.spontaneoustransformationsession.com, www.spontaneoustransformationsession.com. If you go there, you can register there, and you can get a session. And in full transparency, I also sell the whole course on how to do the spontaneous transformation technique for yourself. But if that's not in the cards for you, no worries. Like, I don't do hard sells. I do super soft sells because I really want you to change. If that's in the cards for you, take the course. If not, just keep doing the STT session. There's a replay that goes with that, and it's quite profound. And you'll also be part of my list. And I often I do a ton of free stuff, like a ton, because I'm here to make sure everyone's taken care of. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, I sell a bunch of stuff, but really you can get so much stuff. I'm actually doing some live Zoom programs on STT that are coming up soon. So also, if you're interested, you can become a practitioner. I'm telling you, coach. Oh my God, it's wild. Coaches, I have so many therapists that have added this to their practice because it's so fast. They've been working with a client for 10 years, and then they do 2 or 3 STT sessions, and the problem they've been working on for 10 years is done. And then they can move on to more. Now, I do want to do a caveat. This is not a one-off. Right. This is a practice. Right. So I do STT at least 3 or 4 times a week. I used to do it multiple times a day. I've gotten to the point where I have more capacity and energy, and I'm healed a lot more. Dawson Church.
Of course.
Dawson interviewed me recently. He shared something beautiful. He noticed, because he noticed this, he does a lot of work on trauma too around EFT, which is a beautiful system as well. Mm-hmm. By the way, EFT can a little bit re-traumatize if you have a lot of trauma. I strongly recommend starting with STT, spontaneous transformation technique. But again, I use EFT too. I love it. That being said, he said to me, when I described my trauma, he said, it's so obvious that I have healed it. And I've healed it from STT because of the way I describe it. don't do any, he showed it to me that most people, when they haven't resolved, they go, their facial, there's tension in their face and their neck and shoulders. And he goes, you don't have that. You've done the work. Yep. And so I thought that was really fascinating. I had never heard that before. And I thought that was pretty cool as an example of what's possible. We release it from our physical body. We release it from, like if you have a thing that you're so confused about, why isn't this happening?
Yeah.
It's because we have a false belief about our capacity to have it. And so that false belief happened from 0 to 7 years old, and STT goes there and resolves it. And I believe that's why it's here right now at its peak.
Right.
Because the light workers, the highly sensitive being, the neural divergent souls need it right now. And by the way, it's incredible for PTSD. It's incredible for PTSD.
This is incredible because this goes so much further than the individual, right? I mean, healing your trauma is not going to just benefit the person, but their relationships that they have.
Absolutely.
With their loved ones, with their community, with their coworkers.
Absolutely.
With everyone.
Yes. Oh, speaking of which, as part of that course, I also do another practice called Ho'oponopono. And it's a beautiful Hawaiian prayer that's really profound. And when I heard it, I had already had STT going, and it's like, gosh, it's very similar and reminiscent. Mm-hmm. And so I added STT layer on top of Ho'oponopono. So it's a little bit different than anyone who's had Ho'oponopono before. By the way, I got permission from Dr. Len and Joe Vitale that I could do this. So nice. We're good there. So it's a STT version of Ho'oponopono, and you'll learn it in that course. If you decide to take it again, you don't have to. But Ho'oponopono is also a powerful, with STT layer on top, is a powerful way to manage any dysfunctional relationships. It's something I use almost every day as well.
See, that's beautiful. That is really, really beautiful. Do you see, or where do you see, this energy healing and trauma work heading in the next, 5-10 years? Do you think people will really accept it more and more?
Yeah. There's quantum physics and there's neuroscience that are catching up to this. And what's interesting is that I am one of those healers that I have a lot of intellectual understanding of this work, but it came from the channel first. Mm-hmm. So the channel showed me the information and the why and the theories first. And then just in the last 2 years, the neuroscientists have shared with me what's actually going on. One of the things that's happening with spontaneous transformation technique is that it moves the memory from the limbic system, which is where trauma innervates the sympathetic nervous system. It's why we have fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Mm-hmm. And it moves it where memory is supposed to be in the prefrontal cortex. So it actually moves the traumatic memory so that it no longer triggers the sympathetic nervous system of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn and moves it to the front. So that is information that just came in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. From neuroscience. Gabor Mate, he talks a lot about 0 to 7 years old. The neuroscience is really finally catching up with what happened from 0 to 7 years old. We are still living it to this day unless we do something about it. Right. And I think the Dr. Daniel Amen, he does brain scans, and he can see the trauma in the brain scans. He can see unresolved trauma in the freaking brain scans. He can see neural divergency in the brain scans, and he can watch the change that's happening in the neurology. The spontaneous transformation technique creates new neural pathways, and you can see it. You can see it in brain scans. And so the science is going to finally catch up. That's what's going to happen in the next 10 years, is it's going to validate what systems like this are actually doing. Right. And I believe the next 20 years is going to be a renaissance of energy medicine. Because, well, first of all, there's a breakdown of the patriarchy that's happening right now. That's what's going on in our world. And the patriarchy was very, very linear and very not as intuitive. It didn't encourage intuition. The what we're moving into now is a balancing of the masculine and feminine. There's more feminine energy coming in. There's astrology that is also supporting that with Pluto in Aquarius. And what's happening is that it's allowing the science to allow in the more intuitive, to allow the intuitive to be validated by the science and the science to be influencing the intuitive. And that's the renaissance. And the feminine energy is going to allowing, right? So right now there's these fights, these fiefdoms in science where they're fighting each other for, no, that can't be, no, that can't be, no, that can't be. And all of it's based on opinion. And by the way, it's all influenced by intuition, but there's no reference to the fact that every breakthrough, medical breakthrough in our world, every invention in our world came from intuition. Yes. Right? And so that's the change that's going to be happening, is a validation of intuition that I think is happening in the next 20 years or so.
I mean, I think some people were there even in the 70s with Dr. John Sorno and, and how people felt the pain in their body, that there were no real injuries, but the pain, the stress, the trauma just lived there. And so it's so wonderful to have people like you. Centerpoint, we have been working, on the brain science part for so long.
Yes.
You knew our late great Bill Harris.
Yeah.
And so this is such important work, and I can't thank you enough for being with us. I encourage everyone to go to the URL that Jennifer gave out. Why don't you say it one more time, please?
Sure. It is spontaneoustransformationsession.com. www.spontaneoustransformationsession.com. And you can get yourself a free session there. Learn more. There's also a course that's part of that. Again, totally optional though. And once you get on my list, there's other opportunities to do some free STTs with me.
Our community is one that loves to help each other. So I'm sure not only are they going to go there, they're going to pass that on to any loved one, any person they feel that could really benefit from that, which is so many people. Yeah. Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, it is such an honor, MaryEllen. Thank you thank you so much for you and for your commitment to this work, and for making sure that Centerpoint lives on. You've done such a marvelous job there. I'm a big fan of Centerpoint and your incredible technologies and the neuroscience that you guys have identified long before everyone else, for God's sake. And so thank you for the work you're doing. It's a blessing. It's a real blessing.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for taking the time to be with us today. We are here to serve you. Please tune in for our next episode of Brains Are Us, coming to you every week now. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Brains Are Us, brought to you by Centerpoint Research Institute. Want to try out our proprietary HoloSync brain-enhancing technology that's been changing lives for 35 years? Just visit myholosync.com/stream for a free 15-minute HoloSync session and feel the difference for yourself today. Until next time, be kind to your mind.